Success in life is truly success in accepting the divinity, the sanctity, and the sacredness of all of life itself, and being able to honor the lineages through whom we've come, and exalting a full effort in our living so that we are in love with our being, and we are being the loves of our lives and bringing life to everything and everybody we touch all the time. You understand? So the issue for us is coming to a point in place where if the intelligence of existence has gifted you so much of itself, perfectly and divinely designed you, then why in the hell have you not made commitments unto it when it is committed to you?
Adama, thank you. Welcome to the show. Happy birthday, firstly.
Thank you. Thank you.
And sorry for keeping you waiting. I need a full-time AI
Secretary, huh?
PA, yeah, anything like a robot. Even I think even my dog with some sort of blackboard around her neck with all my schedule written on it would be more helpful
Right.
than just allowing my own mind. But thank you for waiting, and thank you for coming on the show. And we're just saying off before we started that I saw one clip of yours on socials, and it's really rare. In the Instagram has become just a doom scrolling hell for the most part. It's very hard to find good content. And one of your clips popped up, and I just was like, wow, who's this person? I really resonated with what you were saying and how you articulated it and the passion behind the words and the embodiment. So that's how we're here. So thank you for your time. For people who don't know your work, how do you describe what you do, where you're at, and I guess more of your life's mission?
Well, Paul, thank you so much for having me. I am a disciple of truth. We were told from the time we were very young to seek the truth, to know the truth, and the truth would make us free, right? We've heard things all of our lives, and we've never really necessarily seen the practical application of it. We've heard, thou shalt love thy mother, father, creator, God, thy Lord, with your whole body, heart, mind, with all of your might. You've heard that when you were little, right? Right, you've heard that. I mean, this
Yeah,
is
no, I've
something we
heard,
hear all
yeah.
over the world, right? And then we also heard, thou shalt honor thy mother and father. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thy love thyself, right? Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt knock and the door would be open. Seek and you would find, right? Ask and you will be answered. Basically, fast and pray and the desires of your heart will be granted unto you. Seek first the kingdom of God and all else will be added unto us. So these are the things I grew up with. These are the things that I've heard, but nobody could really talk to me about why the children of God are dying. Right? And so after major open heart surgery at the age of 4, my pediatrician, pediatric cardiologist, passed away 2 years after she saved my life, discovering the hole that was in my lower chambers of my heart and redirecting, and you really just saved my life. 2 years later, she was dead from leukemia. And so she was my first experience of seeing somebody or seeing a body and wondering, where is the spirit? Where is she? Is she that? Or you understand? So I had these questions from the time I was a little girl. At 7, I'm watching my mother prepare dinner, and I said, what is that? She says, lamb. I said, but what is it? She says, lamb. I say, but what is it? She says, lamb. I'm like, a baby lamb? She's like, yes. I said, so what's chicken? Like a bird? She's like, yes. I said, oh, I can't eat that. Because in Detroit, the school system was relatively good. And we went to the petting zoos and we went to the upstate farms, and I had hands-on experience with these animals, right? And so at 7, I didn't want to eat it. At 7, when my dad got home from work, it was like, you better eat everything on your goddamn plate. I'll beat your goddamn ass. Right? And so anyway, I wasn't given the out. And I started throwing their cigarettes away, and I started throwing their alcohol away, and I started chastising them about why it is they're fussing and going on with each other and this and that. Now, fast forward That's 7. At 10, I get hit by a car. At 11, my parents begin to separate. We're divorcing. Who do you want to live with? I don't want to live with either one of y'all. I was in and out of hospitals all of my childhood.
Mm.
Profuse nosebleeds, ambulance rides, blood everywhere, right? Because nobody really made the connection between hot dogs, hamburgers, breakfast cereals, lunch meats, all of that, which I got, plus
Mm.
the emotional trauma of dealing with parents who loved each other but was full of
Dysfunctional.
all of this stuff. So it creates these issues, right?
Yeah.
So 12 years later, I'm in college, University of Florida, and sociology course is saying 12,000 Black Americans are dying every year from sugar diabetes. No, 20,000 Black Americans are dying every year from sugar diabetes. Another 12,000 are dying from complications from obesity. Another 8,000 from cancer of the lung. Another 6,000 from cancer of this. And then by the time you factor in our teenage pregnancies, our single headed households, our divorce rate, our quote unquote illegitimate children, our teenage pregnancies, our incarceration. They're using the statistics as if to
Mm.
say, oh, because of the disproportionate percentage of you all who are affected by all of these things, that's the evidence of your inherent inferiority to us. Of course, mid 70s, right? University of Florida, 30,000 students. Of the 30,000, 1,500 were Black. And so this is when I began to really knock and ask and seek.
Mm.
What is the cause of this? And my professors couldn't answer. They said, we don't have a cause, we don't know the cure, but because of affirmative action, you're a double minority. You're both Black and female. You can get paid for doing the research. And of course, we can show you how to slant your study to prove whatever it is you're hypothesizing so that uh, based upon the applicability of your research to science, to medicine, to education, to whatever, then you can continue to get paid. That was the straw that broke the camel's back for me because I
Mm.
really did not go to college so I could get paid. I went to college so that I could
Mm.
understand behavior because I realized from the time that I was very young that there was something wrong in the world. I was a child watching the March on Washington with Dr. King and Ralph David Abernathy and Julian Bond and all of these ones. And everything in me knew that I should be progression of that. Everything in me knew that we should all be progression of that. Right. So here I am in college and I began to quest. I began to ask God to show me what this is. Show me what this is. And then it took me back to being 7, not wanting to eat the meat, throwing my parents' cigarettes away, throwing their alcohol away. And here I am, 19, 20. I'm smoking, I'm drinking, and I'm still eating the meat. Then I thought about whose businesses these are. And I realized that these are the businesses of the same families that participated in the Atlantic slave trade, beat us, raped us, sodomized us, set us afire, hung us, whipped us, cut our pregnant bellies open. They're still cutting our pregnant bellies open, right? And so I went on a personal economic boycott. And I said to myself, I am not giving you motherfuckers another goddamn dime. And I went from eating absolutely everything to having fresh fruit in the morning, huge salads in the evening. And I went from 127 pounds to 103 in less than 45 days. But my mind opened up to the degree to
Mm.
which I did not have to labor over my books anymore. I could read the chapter, go to school, retain the information, go to class, form the critical questions, and bring my professors to their freaking knees. They cried like babies with me because everybody's doing the same thing. You're professing. You're professing to know something. You take 17, 18-year olds out of high school, put them in an adulterated situation. We have alcohol on campus. You
Mm.
understand? We learn how to
Yeah. Yeah.
smoke, get high on campus. We've got
Yeah.
24-hour visitation in dorms and whatnot. So it's like we come out of high school in a completely adulterated situation. So that if you survive it, by the time you come out of college, you are completely adulterated. Do you
Mm.
understand? And the short of adulterated is adult. So by 21, we're completely adulterated as adults, right? We are ready to be sold to whoever will pay, which will be the corporate deities of death, the Coca-Cola, the Burger King, the cigarette industries, wherever we're looking for good jobs. We're selling ourselves. We're on the market now. right? And I just could not go with that. So I managed to graduate from college with presidential honors, organizational honors. I was first Black, first woman to be elected to their student government. $3 million budget appropriating to student activities, and there were no Black students in there before me. And so, but I did graduate. I graduated on time within 4 years. But when I came out with a fire and a passion because the commitment that I made was let me live to make a difference in this world, or let me not live at all. But I refuse to be enslaved, to just work a job for the next 40, 50 years of my life, watching everybody die and be as impotent as a grain of sand on the beach and not be able to do anything about it. You
Mm,
understand? And that commitment was 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 permeated and infused upon the waters of every fiber of my being, so that over these years I did not know what that looks like. All I did was take advantage of every opportunity I had to speak to every heart, to sow seeds within every mind, to really attend to each one that I met, to the degree to which I've come to a point where here we are 46 years later, almost 47 years later. And I have been on radio for the last 25 years with WRFG.org with the programming called The Meeting of the Inner Circle, dealing specifically with the issues of our liberation, our salvation. I am voice on behalf of our global resurrection. I have realized that every order of being deserves the right to its life. Every hue of people, from the blackest black to the lightest light, are the personification of this absolute and supreme intelligence that we refer to as God. The issue is that when your blood is defiled with the rot of pigs and cows and turkeys and chicken and alcohol and tobacco and all of this artificial colors, flavors, pesticides, herbicides, antibiotics, white sugar, and all of this, you can't think about being godly. You can't
mm,
think at all. You
mm,
understand? And that's the objective. Now, how could this be if it was not an agenda? You understand? How could it possibly exist except it is the intention of someone's? So we heard from the time we were children that there were those who were on a world conquering rampage. All right, that world conquering rampage has morphed into multi-trillion-dollar business of perpetuating inebriation, intoxication, adulteration, right? All of this violation where people have accepted that God, this thing they call God, has given them the free will to be enslaved to whatever appetite, desire, passion, or lust that they are stupid enough to indulge themselves in. That's the freedom that we kill for that freedom to do whatever the hell we want to do, whether it makes sense or not. Right. And so, no, I'm saying that there is purpose in being on the planet, which nothing has supported us in understanding. You
mm,
understand? The purpose of being on the planet is not about being successful capitalists. It's not about being conquest. It's not about just having as much sex and as much fun and as much stupidity as you can possibly muster. You understand? Success in life
mm,
is truly success in accepting the divinity, the sanctity, and the sacredness of all of life itself, and being able to honor the lineages through whom we've come, and exalting a full effort in our living so that we are in love with our being and we are being the loves of our lives and bringing life to everything and everybody we touch all the time. You understand? So the issue for us is coming to a point in place where if the intelligence of existence has gifted you so much of itself, perfectly and divinely designed you, then why in the hell have you not made commitments unto it when it is committed to you? Right? Everybody has life.
that's
Everybody has
yeah.
life. There's
I've
no
never I've,
greater
ne-
gift than life itself.
I've never heard anyone that's pretty mind blowing. We it's well we're in an abuse. I've said this before. We're in an abusive relationship with the divine currently, with all of nature, in the way that we just extract and we don't respect the thing that has actually given us even the opportunity to have free will in capitalism. I I just there's so many there's so many threads in that. But what you just that was amazing. But in terms of Most people don't even understand the schooling, for example. They don't understand that the entire institutional complex of our current paradigm of schooling came to make people widgets in factories. The bell,
Right.
the classroom. Luckily, now you find more online about this truth of what schooling is. And I always had a incredibly rebellious reaction to schooling from a young age, just because something in me didn't like being told what to do, and it felt somewhat unnatural. And really, if you look at it, it's just a way to get the genius of human beings squashed, to squash them into a system and waste their life force. And and not even to get conspiracy theory about it, but it's to make other people who have all the power more money, because then you're not going to ask questions. You're just happy to have, you said, you're happy to get a job for whoever's going to pay you the money, because life is incredibly difficult to, increasingly so incredibly difficult to survive because everything is so expensive. And then you're dulled down with all the foods and all the shit that they sell you, and the next thing you know, your life force is gone. You're in your 60s and you're wondering what the hell happened.
Right. And so our responsibility, right? In terms of our realization,
Mm,
the revelation, the epiphanies, is that every we exist by virtue of nothing but absolute and supreme intelligence. We are
mm,
in the midst of nothing but absolute and supreme intelligence. We are on a sphere that is 80% water in flotation and rotation in nothing but eternity, and we are immersed in nothing but cosmic consciousness. All right. Now we've each been given it. We each are these points of it, right? We're accessing the direct download. So wherever you travel in the world, we know that the earth herself is hostess for us. We did not come up out the ground. We've come to the earth through the sacred fluid of our mother's womb, sparked by the sacred fluid of our fathers. But then we got no support in respecting the
mm,
sanctity and the sacredness and the divinity of being, of all beings. So our right response to this genocide, this global initiative of depopulation and genocide that affects everybody, is to no longer support the corporate deities of death, to no longer support it. So yes, animals have their right to their lives, but the issue is that as a result of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of consuming meat, dairy, eggs, chicken, fish, flesh, flour, sugar, artificial colors, flavors, tobacco, alcohol, your body needs cleansing.
mm,
And it will cleanse naturally just by no longer consuming that. But then we have to be aggressive about opening up the channels of elimination so that those things can get out of us.
mm,
The consecration of the body as the temple for the re-enthronement of the true spirit of the light of God, the love of God, the truth of God, the true spirit of God, God being the force of life, the life force, that which is source of the life currency. So we are breatharian first. Everybody has to breathe. That means that we never had to have the meat, the dairy, the eggs, the chicken, the fish, the pancakes, waffles, breads, biscuits, bagels, croissants, donuts. We never had to have any of it. None of it is oxygenating. None of it is
mm,
mineralizing. None of it is alkalizing. None of it facilitates consistent cellular repair, regeneration, rejuvenation, consciousness expansion. None of it does. It's a complete non necessity. It's a waste of money. It is the root of all disease because the body is so perfectly and divinely designed
mm,
to be host for the spirits that have come from another realm of eternity into this realm. So our bodies are literally our spacesuits. We are traveling through the cosmic on this biospheric intergalactic spaceship that we call Earth. And we're here for a season, we're here for a time. But we should not be leaving as dead people. We're living in the realm of eternity. We should not be dying at all. We're in a place and space where we have the opportunity to harmonize with the will of existence, the intelligence of existence through the loving of being, right? That's where we
mm,
said, Thou shalt love thy mother, father, creator, God, thy Lord, with your whole body, heart, mind, with all of your might. We didn't see what that looks like. So now we're having to become the evidence of having internalized that. where we're loving being, we're nurturing, nourishing, strengthening, respecting, honoring, cherishing, treasuring. You understand that love is the force of existence itself. It is holding all ones in its own space and orbit, and everything that we see is the evidence of how the intelligence that we have been gifted has fashioned that from the earth, the resources of the earth, to whatever suits our needs. So the intelligence of man is the intelligence of God. It's just that now we're having to really come to a place where we care to be the embodiment of the high frequency care, love, and the intelligence that is godly. So we're not going to be warring against anybody because there's only one self.
Mm.
Myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself. Self is God. And to be warring against life is the epitome of stupidity. To be warring against other ones when you are not realizing that you cannot be a detriment to yourself, and there is only one self. So you cannot be a detriment to yourself, any self, and truly survive it. So we're dealing with the reality of existing in a paradigm that is lawful and it is
Mm.
ordered, and perfection is an inherent part of it, just as justice is an inherent part of it. So
Yeah.
justice does not depend upon someone meeting the edicts of a jury of their peers.
No,
Justice
justice
is an
is,
inherent part of existence,
yeah,
and
people think
everybody is
justice.
going to get exactly what they've applied themselves to.
Yeah.
And the violation that is charged upon our blood with the violation of violated beings is what's causing all the cancer, the heart disease, the diabetes, and all of this. So we're having to repent
Mm.
from having participated
Mm.
in supporting the violation of other beings and then feeding off of their carcasses.
Mm.
We're having to cleanse the body to restore it as temple for the presence and the re-enthronement of the light of the spirits of light that we are, that have emanated from another realm of eternity into this realm, into these bodies that are the temples, for where we are able to really come into harmony with the will of God, the light of God, the truth of God, the peace of God, the poise of God, the power of God, to be restored as these points of the presence of God.
Mm.
The ultimate objective is to be the emergence of the upon the planet of the
Mm.
kingdoms and queendoms of light on every continent, of every hue.
When I look at people and the conflict, that ongoing conflict of humanity, which you could almost say has been since we've recorded humanity. I don't know, I'm sure there's been other cultures and civilizations that we've lost, who've gotten to much higher realms or focused on different. This is the thing with progress in our culture. We think that progress is great, but we never ask, where the fuck is this progress taking us? Like, it's more about just, we just need to keep moving forward. But where are we moving forward into? And it's not actually coming from an embodied wisdom of our place in the divine order of things. And as you said, I I think justice is a law of the cosmos. We think it's some sort of morality that men impose on others, or humanity imposes on others. It's a divine law of the cosmos, and you can see it in the way people live their lives. That justice
Right.
is enacted on them at some point or another, or in some way. Uh, but that warring, to go back to the warring nature of people, when you're at war with yourself, so when you're consuming foods which create dissonance within your body and war within yourselves, of course you're going to be in constant conflict then with others, because you can't even have
Yes.
peace in yourself. And
Right.
anecdotally, because I've been eating predominantly fruit, 90% fruit for a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not fanatic. Like I'm never overly rude. Like I eat raw, but I'm not overly. I try not to strangle myself too much. If that needs to be this way or that way.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've really noticed is there's been an immense calmness in terms of what comes. So when life comes at me, there's a sense of peace uh, emanating from this change in how I've been eating and the water I drink. Whereas before I would sort of try and fight circumstances to control it because I thought I
Mhm.
needed to, because I felt insecure about situations turning out a way that I didn't want them to. Where interestingly, I find now I'm just much more at peace with what comes because I know I'm resilient and I can handle it. And I can only
Right.
attribute that to a few other practices, but the food has been instrumental in just completely loosening up the grip of just even starches and things in the body which take more time to process. Just fully
Hmm.
enabling the light from the trees, the light that's gone into the fruit to go into my body, move through me. It's incredible the freedom that I feel within the body.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to realize that liberation, liberation has to happen at the cellular level.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we look at the politics, we look at the politics, we look at the agendas of those who are really the escalation of the world conquering rampage that started generations ago.
Mm.
All right. And this is the progression of error. You understand? The progress is the progression of errors. And that error has been established by virtue of the contamination of the blood, of the bloodlines of these ones, because they were flesh eaters, because they were alcohol drinkers, because they were sugar poppers. You understand? None of this is new. None
Oh
of it
hell
is
no.
new.
No. It's
And
just
so
pure
the
blood.
issue for us is making a decision as to how we care to live the rest of our lives. And I tell people directly, if you don't care to live, nobody gives a shit. Get the fuck on. All right. Otherwise, if you care to live, then you have to be committed to living. You cannot keep killing yourself and then going to people who don't care about you and then taking meds. You understand? No, you have to realize that life is the gift and Mother Earth has everything that we require. All right. And so we have to reach for the earth. And so the herbs, the fruit, now the fruit is the ideal food for us. Why? Because the roots of the trees have to go further down into the soil than the roots of the broccoli and the asparagus and the
Mm.
whatever else we're eating that is vegetation. So no, fruit is the ideal fuel for us because it is the body's natural cleanser. All right, but then the doctors swear us off of fruit because they say, "Oh, the fruit sugar and
Fructose.
this and that." And I'm saying, but
They don't even understand the
they're not
body.
they're not swearing you off the flesh of dead animals. They're not swearing
Yeah.
you off of all of the starches that are man-made. They're not swearing you off of everything else. So I'm just saying is that at this particular point in time, we have to realize that it is our right to be corrected after following those who have been wrong for so long. We have the right to reestablish that as men, we are the progenitor of our lineages. As wombed men, we are the perpetuator of lineages. And there are no ones who have been authorized by the intelligence of existence to come into this realm and do anything other than exalt life and perpetuate themselves. Everything in life does that. The cats do it, the dogs do it. Everything
Mm.
perpetuates itself. They know their food, they excrete their waste, they know their kind, they exert a full effort in their living, and they will respond when they sense that their lives are being threatened. All of the animals, except the animals being raised for human consumption. The pigs are not able to defend themselves, nor are the cows, nor are the chickens,
Mm.
nor are the hens, nor are the turkeys, and all of those other ones who are captive. They can't defend themselves. And so now you have a docile people who are not defending themselves, a docile people who are not responding correctly and directly to being warred against. Our behavior has been modified by the concentration, the saturation, and the contraindication of all of the chemicals that have been assaulted upon our cells. And so we are clearing and cleansing, but the spirit has to be activated. All right, that desire, that will, that spark of life has to come to a point where you want your life because you will never have anything greater than your life. Your life is your gift. Your life is the evidence of your worthiness and your deservedness. The life is your treasure.
Mm.
Nothing. is going to do you better than that which is beating your heart and breathing you. Nobody can love you better than that which is the source that is beating your heart and breathing you, blazing the sun and has the world spinning. So why are we not rejoicing in the blessedness of our being? Because it's hard as hell when you full of shit. So we getting this shit out on a daily basis.
But that's the thing. I don't think people have any idea how good they can feel because they've been sold a lie since birth about, and they're habituated to the way they eat. Then their identity is tied to the things that they do, the way that they're eating. Look at online. Look at all these people arguing about paleo carnivores, but even amongst vegetarians, a bit all of this stuff, and it's just like, stop identifying with the things that you're eating and doing, and just go with what your spirit wants, and get a bit more in tune with yourself, and the way becomes very clear. You're not looking to other people to tell you your path. Your path is emanating from yourself, and full ownership. But it comes to people, firstly, as you said, you need to get that shit out of you. And that is a process of discipline and self-love and wanting a better life for yourself, and not identifying to these structures which were given to you by other people, which is the least most interesting part of your being. It's like, it's not you. These are all things that you've taken off other people without questioning them. And you'll wonder why things haven't worked out the way that you would have liked them to. Because you're
Right.
not living your life. It's not your life. You're living a corporate, you're living the dreams of somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that
And so
sounds, not
just
to be a judgment, by the way. I'm just saying that's just the way.
right, but see, but this is the issue when we understand that the objective was to divide and conquer.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So as each individual is an individuation of the intelligence of existence, right? To be divided within oneself
Mm,
puts you in a place where it's impossible to really cultivate real loving relationships, business relationships, partnerships, marriages, when you're divided within yourself. So we want to come to a place where we're exalting a full effort in our living, in our clearing, our cleansing, our purification, so that we are becoming harmonious with the divine feminine and the divine masculine, which we're each heirs. We're heirs to both of those faculties within ourselves.
mm,
That allows us to really be able to be in greater harmony with life itself, but to know that everything in life is here to exalt life and to perpetuate life and to be harmonious with this gift that is life itself. And so to get beyond, as you were saying, the identification by virtue of being a human eater. You understand? So it's like the first point of religion, the first point of divisiveness was based on God worship in the religions.
mm,
So if through Islam and Christianity and the demonic nations of Christianity and all of the different factions of all of the different religions. And so that was the primary force of divisiveness across humanity. Then it's the socioeconomics, it's the education, and it's the race, and it's the class, and then it's the gender, and it's the preferences,
mm.
and all of that. And I said, I really don't give a damn about any of that. If you've got a beating heart and you're breathing, you are an intelligence of existence that has been perfectly and divinely designed, and nobody has been designed to eat the flesh of dead animals. Nobody has been designed for alcohol, tobacco, sugar, and all of this shit. Nobody's designed for that. We are all designed for enhanced life force. We are all breatharian. We all have to breathe. We're all benefited from greater oxygenation through our brain, our blood, and all of that. We are in a place and space where we have to be concerned, truly concerned with the substance or the resubstantiation of the quality of our being, because the agenda is to phase our lineages out of existence. And
Mm.
that was part of what I realized in college. Their global 2000 plan was to eliminate over 3.5 billion people from the face of the earth. All right. 3.5 billion. Okay. But you're talking primarily people of color. All right. Because if you take people of, okay, so the thought was, if these ones in East India keep having children the way they're having children, and then the Chinese are having children the way they're having children, the Japanese are having children the way they're having children, and the Australians are having children the way they're
Mm.
having children. And you understand? So basically, it was like, well, if all of these people start having children the way they're having children in the numbers, the world is going to be overpopulated. So we're going to eliminate so many of them. All right, so here you are, the vaccinations and the inoculations and the AIDS and all of the things that are just erupting from places that nobody understands. And I'm saying, no, all of this is an agenda. But the intelligence of existence, or that which we call life, our harmonization with it through our clearing, our cleansing, our purification, our re enthroning within our bodies, the light, the wisdom, the truth, the peace, the poise, and the power through the cleansing the blood. So we heard from the time we were little that salvation comes through the blood of Christ, right? And
Mm.
even though I stopped going to church at 11, these things kept coming to me. So, what does that mean? That means that you're talking about creating a bloodstream that does not bear the violation of violated beings, inebriants, intoxicants, and all of this stuff. You get clean. It's like having a blood transfusion through your oxygenation, your hydration, your fresh fruit, your vegetation, and opening up the channels of elimination, and your love, your devotion, your prayers, your forgiveness, your repentance. You understand the acceptance of the error of our way, because we have to accept and forgive ourselves for our vulnerability, our gullibility, and participating in doing that which undermines ourselves. We have to forgive ourselves. And we have to come to a point where the heart is as light as a feather, because the heart literally is the altar within this temple,
Mm.
because we really worship in our bodies. They've put massive amount of gold and brass and all kinds of things in all of the temples, the mosques, the synagogues, the churches, and all of these places, but none of those places regenerate. The temple of God, these bodies will regenerate. They rejuvenate. They will consistently re, be really immersed in the reality of the quality of light and consciousness of the being that's in the body. The cells will receive all of that. So when one is in the consciousness of knowing its immortality, knowing the truth of the divinity, the sanctity, the sacredness of dwelling in the reality of infinity and eternity, and taking it on, then every cell of our being, when you have reconstituted the body to be 80% highly charged mineralized waters, when water is programmable, so our thought is programming the waters of our cells. So when you're in the right thought that I am this point of this absolute and supreme intelligence, I am consistently regenerating, rejuvenating, revitalizing. I am whole, body, heart, mind, life, and soul. You understand? We are able to be the God in our own lives, facilitating the immortalization of
Mm.
every fiber of our being, and then to be in service on behalf of the restoration, the
Yeah.
reconciliation, the harmonization of all orders of being. This is not a black thing. It's not a white thing. It's an intelligence issue.
Yeah.
And all of us exist within the realm of this absolute and supreme intelligence. We are all points of it, and coming to love each other as the one that is the love of all of us. It gives us leverage over all of the bullshit that these people are trying to pull. We don't have to go for it. I'm just saying, let's raise completely up. Let's be in a place and space where it's all right to be clean. It's all right to be all right. It's all right to accept duty, obligation, and responsibility to honor the lineages through whom you've come, to be able to do what they did not know to do.
When you mentioned, if people hear, there's a lot of kickback out here when people think of agendas, or that they don't want to think that the world has been manipulated to the extent where they're a piece on the chessboard. Where a bit of inquisitiveness to actually look into the history of just take whatever thing that you're into, whatever religion. And for me, like looking at, let's take Christianity, and like the Essenes, like where we actually think Joshua came from, the Essenes. So these people
Exactly.
were around 1,000 years before the Egyptians, for example. They were always revered as healers. There was like an 8 year crazy what's the word? To become an Essene, you had to go through this initiation process of a lead
Right.
8 years. And if you and this is all found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, translated,
Mm-hmm.
transcribed, all left
Mm-hmm.
out of the Bible because it's stuff that no church, which is an organization that wants you to follow them, would have in their books because it tells you not to follow them. And then you look at the whole story of Mary Magdalene and her power as a high priestess and all these other things that were kept to suppress women throughout the ages, and all these texts which have been bastardized throughout time. And
Right.
then we think, and then we get these people who are passionate about going to church and about the Bible. And I love that passion. Like that passion is the life force of wanting to find these deeper truths, not understanding that the truth that they're being fed is complete bullshit based
Right.
on serving the organization which they're giving money to and laying at the feet of, and then most Christians are into, you can do whatever you want to these other beings on the planet because it was all given to us by the divine right of God. And I'm like, what God would give you would be like, I made all these incredibly beautiful, empathic, sensitive beings with skill sets that we would never understand and perceptions that we can't even grasp, so you can go
Right.
and shoot it in the head with a rifle.
I know. And then mount them on your walls and stuff. Right. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
so
madness.
and the beauty of where we are for where we are right now is that we have so much cosmic support. You understand? Because the edict that has been issued from the exalted realm for the rise of humanity, everybody is being affected by it. So there's what I have been talking about in my radio programs for years, a quickening. A quickening. So whatever your passion is, you understand, you're going to be quickened in it, right? If you are one who loves and lusts for blood and whatnot, you'll be quickened in it, and your death will be quickened also.
Yeah,
You understand? If
yeah.
you're being quickened by virtue of your commitment, your intensity of intention for your regaining your wealth, your health, and
Mm,
whatnot. You can be quickened in it. There's so much information that comes because, one, when you are in a place where every fiber of your being desires your wholeness, you understand? When every fiber
mm,
of your being desires the truth, when every fiber of your being is ready for it, then things open up and you come across my feed, or you understand, the door is open, and we are so grateful and so thankful for all of the intelligence that we have access to in terms of all of the technology that allows us to communicate with ones and ones all around the world, because the world is much smaller now than it's ever been.
well,
But
it's
this is
tiny.
still the progression of the will of God, that we transcend the boundaries. When you go beyond the earth, you see no boundaries. We are all citizens of the cosmic. We are all blessed with the divinity of life itself. We are all here to serve life and to literally be the insurance of the progression of us as a people, as a planetary people, as citizens of the cosmic, as those who are here for the express purpose of self realization, self actualization, self mastery, and to really rebuke and revoke any commitments that we have made in this life or any previous lifetime that does not serve our progression in light.
Mm,
And the light has the right to triumph. The light has the right and will always triumph over the petty, over the stupid, over the self deceit, and all of that. The truth cannot be stopped. Neither can the eternal order or the eternal government or the rise of the kingdoms and queendoms of God. It can't be stopped. We just have the opportunity to make the choice of being fully participatory with it
mm,
and showing up as the evidence of it,
mm. And
because
we
we're brothers and sisters all over the world. Period. The end.
We are and it's also that. I mean, it's not really a cliche. It's a truth. Like, but we are the world that we want to see. So the world that you want to
Exactly.
see, instead of pointing the finger and saying this isn't happening in my timeline and this should be done and that should be done, you can embody right now the world that you want to do, you want to live in, and you can walk around in that fullness, embodying that world, and you have no idea how much that changes everything around you and everybody around you, because people are watching you. People are always watching you, and they're feeding off your energy and feeding off watching every small thing that you do. And that I can't think of any other way that change is made. Like it's like the grass growing up from the ground. It's unstoppable. You can keep trying to cut it down. It's just going to keep growing. It's going to keep
Right.
growing.
Keep paving and
Pave it. It's going
asphalt
to
and
come
all
up
of
through
that.
the cracks, my friend. It's coming up through the cracks. It's going to drive you nuts. Spray your fucking chemicals on it. It's going to come up again even bigger, and you're going to be confused. It's like there's a 1,000,000-mile jungle just waiting to break through every city. Like you stop all of the craziness of these cities and mankind, and in 6 months, it's already starting to overgrow. Like that life force,
Right.
that syntropy of nature and the endless regeneration of nature, which we are a part, can't be stopped.
Absolutely. And to come to this place where in the exertion of a full effort to life and in living and in reverencing, honoring, respecting, appreciating, loving our
Mm,
lives, we would naturally create a boycott of the death industries. Those ones who are working on behalf of the death industries, we're calling those ones to begin to invest in your life currency. So
mm,
we've been given the life currency, which is what we trade for the paper currency. We take the paper currency and then we're consuming that which undermines the life currency.
mm.
So at this particular point, right, you're
Yeah, yeah,
practicing the economics of impoverishment because after decades of that, there's little of you left,
yeah,
right? And we
yeah,
call that death,
yeah.
all right? But when we invest in the consistent regeneration of our life currency, then we get the ideas. So I've not worked a job since 1992, right? And the job that I had for those 5 years of 88 to 92 was in the warehouse of a metaphysical book and holistic health distributorship, right? So I worked the job as if it was my company. I loved it, right? But when I left, I spent the next couple of years doing my jewelry. I was doing jewelry from the time that I was pregnant with my son. And so, but the issue is that I will always take money and reinvest it in my life currency. That's what we're doing with our fresh fruit, our vegetation, but the
Yeah, yeah.
clays, the waters and whatnot, because they're always more life currency. All right. So that's the objective is to intensify, magnetize, amplify the life currency so that you are getting the direct downloads of insight, creativity, faith, confidence. See, these are the things that are being robbed from the people, right? So you're dealing with a people who figured out how to rob the pharaoh's tombs, how to go across the planet and find the the gifts that cultures have left in their potteries and all of the things that they created, their tools, their this. The people are no longer there, but we have their things, and now their things are all in the Vatican, their things are in the
Mm,
museums, their things, but you don't really have the evidence of the people anymore,
mm,
right? The people have been vanquished. So we, on behalf of all of those who have come and gone, are able to create a stance on behalf of all of life, where we will reinvest in ourselves so that we as a global humanity are rising on every continent on behalf of all of the blood that has been spilt upon this planet. So that we are coming to a point and place where our lives are full of the reverence and the worship and the respect of all of the gifts that each culture and each generation has given.
mm.
And so, for where we are now, our time to be in a place and space where we are no nonsense, no compromise, no foolishness about who we are, where we are, whose we are, and coming to a point to realize the oneness of existence. So we've had the songs that have sang. You understand? Michael sang the songs. Michael sang the songs. Michael and the OJs, and you got all of these songs about the love train, all of this and all of that, but they were still eating all kinds of garbage.
Yeah.
All right, let's get rid of the garbage and let's begin to really exalt the truth.
Mm.
We are one global family. The whole of humanity, humankind, as well as the plants and all orders of being. We are all here to exalt life. We are all here to celebrate the blessedness of our being. We are all here to add to the beauty with our lives, our talents, our skills, and our abilities. We are all here to serve the purposes of the continuation, the exaltation, and the progression of the lineages through whom we've come, to set the standard and create a greater way for those who've come with us, those who've come through us, and those who've yet to come. That this is destiny, it is purpose, and nobody can give us anything greater. The doing right now is in the resubstantiation of the quality of our being. The doing right now is the clearing, the cleansing, the purification, and the consecration of the body for the re-enthronement of the true spirits of the living God, Goddess that is the truth of each and every one of us. Every body needs cleansing. Every spirit is of the divine. Every hue of people is the evidence of the cosmic conformity in the multiplicity of diversity. And we are here as the presence of the absolute and supreme intelligence that is beginningless, endless, infinite, and eternal. That we are the evidence of the victory and the triumph that we're claiming right now, because there is no way in hell that wickedness and stupidity and the progression of error and all of the initiatives that do not exalt life, there's no way that they can go forward. They will
Mm.
end in their tragic dates with death. They deserve it sooner than better, sooner than later. You understand? It's just that can we create as quickly as possible a global initiative of to really be the answer to the depopulation agenda? Can we create quickly a boycott of the death industries and a global work stoppage? Can we influence the world and the people of the world to no longer participate in killing themselves and their children? Can we create an initiative where women all over the world will no longer give their children hot dogs, hamburgers, breakfast cereals, cow's milk, and all of this, and we will start our day with fresh fruit? I mean, it doesn't seem to be that far fetched a thing, but it does have to become an initiative everywhere that we are.
It's so simple though. This is the thing. People think this is complex, and you're like, we're literally talking about eating fruit. Like all of these things that we think are so far beyond us, and we can't do it, and it's so hard, and I've got to change all these things, and it's like just give your body, your cells, what they need to thrive, and all of the things, the embodiment of who you really are naturally stems up from that, like a fountain. It just overflows, and it's a case. It's the stuckness, that feeling of stuckness, is more in your mind than anywhere else. And obviously, your
Right.
body has an addiction to the foods that you're eating, but what I think you've like, what commitment do you want to have a commitment to those addictions or to your life?
Exactly.
Easier said than done. I'm not preaching from a place of I don't know how everyone has their own trials and tribulations and battles, and we all have things. But if you're not willing to commit to yourself at some point, then you are going to peel off the mortal coil, not knowing a hell of a lot.
Exactly. And so the love is the victory. Love is the harmony of the truth that we are all immersed in this absolute and supreme intelligence. We're living in a freaking rainbow.
Mm.
And you see it best when there's mist after the rain, or where you hold your Austrian crystals up or whatever, and you see the flashes of red and green and whatnot, and even with my pendulum, when the light hits
Oh
it,
wow,
you
yeah.
see the just how it is with diamonds and stuff too. We're living in a rainbow, but you have to clear the way to really see truly that real eye seeing, that real ization. You understand that to come to have an understanding of the one real eye that sees through every eye.
Mm.
The issue that we're dealing with is the failure of the institutions that have created a frequency of entitlement to tell us what success in life is, right? But they never took the time themselves to really attune to the purposes in existence. And so we're having to really have that conversation, that purpose in being is to exalt life and to perpetuate life and to ensure the continuation of our lineages. And whether we have children or not that come through our own loins and wombs, we still are here to exalt a full effort in our living and to gift to the world our own gifts, talents, skills, and abilities to be the gift upon the
Mm.
planet on behalf of our lineages. And everybody has something to contribute. And when you look at how intelligent the intelligence of existence actually is,
Mm.
that it has gifted itself to absolutely everything and everybody everywhere, we are all complementary to each other.
Just to finish, like I just want to give some like say someone's feeling they're stuck in that system. But they're interested, right? So that they're hearing a
Mhm.
conversation like this, and they know there's something in their being and their heart is drawing them toward this new realization of what's possible for them. Like
Mhm.
what's a place to start? Like what's some just for you what you found? Like you've helped if you've seen friends, like what's a simple starting place to start opening this consciousness within them?
Um, the care, the care to put your commitments in writing,
Mm.
to really understand the faculties that you've been given and to respect and be grateful, to count your blessings. If you
Yeah,
survived your parents, right?
yeah,
Now, most of us have had issues.
yeah. I
Most of
think
us have
yeah,
had issues with our parents because it all starts with our parents, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because our parents were the guinea pigs for the whole
Previous
meat, dairy,
generation.
eggs,
Yeah, yeah,
chicken, right? So generational. So if we survived our parents, and let's give thanks. Let's just be grateful and thankful. You understand that the heart is still beating, you're still breathing, the sun is still blazing. You are really completely held in life by nothing other than life itself. Give thanks for that. Be in the gratitude for that. Okay? Because the bottom line is no matter how hard it's been, when you accept responsibility for what you're
yeah,
creating,
yeah.
then you can accept responsibility for recreating. All right. To understand that meat, dairy, eggs, chicken, fish, alcohol, tobacco, pancakes, waffles, bread, any flour and water make paste in the body. All right. So the more we care to really be optimally functioning, then we are getting more water. We're opening up the bowel through some warm water and some Celtic salt, some Himalayan salt and water to help alkalize the system, open up the bowel, and start the release of so much of that. And
Mm.
then to start with fresh fruit. You understand, fresh fruit, and they say, "Oh well, the fruit is so bad now. It's not real, and it doesn't have seed." I say, "But it's better than you eating the flesh of a
Mm,
dead animal or a pot of oatmeal."
yeah,
You understand? Because
yeah,
why? Because it still has water. It
yeah.
still has
Structured
fiber.
water. Yeah,
Exactly. So water is programmable.
yeah.
We program water. So you can program the water of the fruit by acknowledging the divinity and the intelligence in it. I restore you to your original blueprint. I invoke the intelligence that is in you to harmonize with the intelligence that I am. See, the whole point in being divided within yourself is so that you do not know the power that you have as the God of your being
Can I just
to
can I just
declare
can
a thing and have it be.
Can I just jump in with the fruit and the programming and the water? Because you know Veda Austin's work, who does all the. Have you seen her work where she takes all these photos of crystallography? So she programs the water, freezes it, and it makes different shapes and patterns in the water.
Right. I've
Is
seen
that
Dr. Emoto. I'm not
it's like
familiar with
okay,
her.
so
Right.
I'll send you her.
Right.
But so
Exactly.
she's another iteration. She's done different, but in that vein. But she did. This is fucking beautiful. She did one. She's done a lot with structured water and different types of water and the different geometric shapes that it makes. And you can obviously just see for your own eyes what kind of geometry you want in your body and the geometry you see in nature. And tap water is the most disharmonized. It doesn't even look like
Right.
water. I can't. It looks like sickness when you see
Okay.
it. And so that's what the majority of people are still putting into their body, and their body has to work very hard to make it useful within the system. But
Hmm.
she did an experiment where she held tap water in a glass, held it next to her heart for 30 seconds, and projected love into the water and gratitude into the water, froze that.
And
So
it
from
restructured it.
it looked exactly the same as fresh structured spring water. So the chemical, like I don't think the chemical balance, if fluoride and other things didn't change, but the actual structure, the geometry and the beauty was restored to the water purely through gratitude and love. So if people
Right.
think that the fruit is what you were saying, like I always pray over each of my meals and just give, not pray in a religion like, oh, thank you, like just thank you for being here. Thank you for being full of light. Thank you for all the people who have enabled me to be eating this food here. Just appreciation for the complexity and the depth and the breadth that it took to bring this meal in front of me, and for the life
Hmm.
force. And may it become
Right.
me. May you work through me and use me how you would like. And honoring that food. And the difference is it's a gift. Like there's people, I mean,
Exactly.
not even from the point of view that people don't have anything to eat. That's one thing. But the fact that we have all this choice and and yes, it's not the fruit of 100 years ago, but who's going to, then that's up to us to change that. So the next generation are eating the fruit full of the seeds and full of the minerals that they need.
Right.
But for now, Jesus, it's pretty good. So give thanks.
Exactly. Be in a place where you can appreciate. And I'm telling people that all the time. You're not growing food. Who's growing food? Everybody's not poisoning the land. You
Yeah.
understand? Give thanks for those who are making sure that we have access to everything. The difference with me in terms of the cleansing protocol is that I bring the clays into it. You
Yes, the
understand, the
clay.
earth, to
Yeah.
really bring the earth into it, from the bentonite to this deep red earth, and bring it because we craved it as children. We
Yeah.
tried to eat
You
the
eat
dirt.
it.
We had a
Exactly.
craving for chalk and cornstarch and argo starch, and many women of the South craved the clay when they were pregnant. So I've been dealing with this clay since my son was in utero, who'll be 43 this year. The clay is coming from deep within the earth, so it has the magnetism, it has the minerals, so that when we put it in water and take it down and mix it with salt, it'll open up the bowel, alkalize the system. But we also do the enemas and have women doing the douching to help dissolve the fibroids and the tumors and stuff that are causing so much of the uterine cancer, the ovarian cancer, the cervical cancer, and all of that, because it is that magnetic. So it loosens this stuff up. And then we're doing the enema after the bowels move so that we are pulling from the walls of the intestines
What are you doing? What are you doing with the enemas? I'm big on
with
the
with
enemas.
the with the clay.
With
It's
the
the
bentonite
internal
clay.
cleansing clay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you
with
mix
the
it.
deep. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
So we blend it in water It's a
Yeah.
blend of the bentonite and this deep red clay. The red is the incident of iron.
Yeah.
And so you're getting a mineral, you're getting just so much minerals,
Mm.
but you're getting this negative charge that's coming through and is pulling and loosening all of that which is inorganic, viral, bacterial, or whatever. Right? Now the body is so intelligent that when we stop feeding from this stuff, it moves into cleanse mode. What we having to realize, however, is that the nitrates, nitrites, BHA, BHT, artificial colors, the chemicals are not really intended to get out of the body. And the mucus or the paste is binding and holding those chemicals. So I have what's called my mucus buster, which
Mm.
is uh, fresh horseradish root, ginger root, garlic, cayenne pepper, lime, lemon, grapefruit juice, pure maple syrup. So it's intended to increase
Perfect.
the immune system with all of the vitamin C content from the cayenne and the citrus, right? But it breaks up from the heat, the hot, it breaks up so much of the cholesterol and the phlegm and all of that so that the clay will work even more effectively to
Mm.
loosen and pull that. So then we sweat the poisons out with just a pure detox bath. Just heat the bathroom, create like a sauna effect, and then have the bentonite in the water, and you're sweating profusely because most people do not sweat anymore. They're not
They're not moving
active
it.
enough to really be sweating. And
Yeah.
those who are not, who are in the north, particularly here where we don't get as much sun, we're not as active, then that detox bath, as the skin is your largest eliminative organ, so we're sweating those poisons out. And then the herbal teas are helping to literally mineralize the cells as we're busting up the sludge, and then we're getting the nourishment. So the earth is 80% water. Our bodies are 80% water. We're reconstituting the body to be 80% highly charged, mineralized waters so that the programming through the praying, the praising, the gratitude, the thanksgiving, the getting to a point in place. So we're restructuring the waters of our cells
Mm.
towards conscious immortality for consistent and continuous cellular repair and regeneration.
This might blow people's minds. I'm trying to think of the scientist's name. I think he was French, but he kept a cell in structured water, so a particular kind of structured water, and our cells are actually immortal if you keep them hydrated. So
Right.
it's near, and it's not about death is an essential part. Like life is based. You need death for life. Like the whole idea of living forever is like we already do live forever. It may not be in this body, but we're already immortal. But the interesting part of what we deem as natural aging is just dehydration because our lymphs aren't working properly. We don't detoxify. All those acids are just building up within the system, which is causing cancer because acids are corrosive. When
Right.
you actually just hydrate those cells and keep them, the whole process of what we think is normal aging is not at all what bodies like. Chef Babette, her, who's
I'm familiar with
she's
her. Hmm.
yeah, like 73 now and looks, I don't know, doesn't matter. I don't. That's not even about how you look. It's the vitality. It's just like she has the energy of a 20-year-old,
Hmm. Hmm.
and we all should. Like, why this idea of aging is it's mental. It's because we're not giving the body the right fuel, and as if life should suddenly. Where in life do you see it? Just like we get wiser and we grow and become stronger, but the idea that you suddenly just wane and die for 30 years, it's a human concept. Animals don't do that. Animals are young, 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 get old very quickly and die.
Right. And you don't see them. You don't necessarily see old either with them.
No, they're
You,
just
you understand? You don't
a
really
bit more
see
weathered.
that.
Actually, not if you. No, this is actually you're right because this is the thing. We feed animals the same crappy diets that we eat, and then we think that we attribute that to the diseases they get. So
Right.
I've got a beautiful fur daughter who's not well behaved, but she's gorgeous.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
wasn't great with the discipline. I'm trying to learn, but she hasn't been to the vet in 5 years, and she's completely plant based. I feed her like basically what I eat, and people
Okay.
confuse. And she's 7 now, and people think she's a puppy. Her energy
Wow.
is off the chart, and she
Okay.
just looks like a baby. uh,
Okay.
and I get her bloods done, so everything is great. But it's funny how it's the same thing. Yeah, we just don't understand. We don't understand. We still just don't understand how the system works. I mean, we have the knowledge, but for the most part, people, and then we're marginalized as being the ones who are crazy.
Right. And the practical application of the compassion, you know, and people have asked me, well, do people think that, people could not understand me 40 years ago?
Yeah.
I came out of college. When I came out of college in 1979,
Mm.
and went home. My people could not really get to where it was like, oh, well, you don't have the right to come in here and tell me how to live my life. And I'm like, I have more right than Burger King, McDonald's, Merrill Lynch, Jesus, and the rest of them is trying to stay in your pocket because when you fall, I'm the one that's going to have to be there.
Yeah.
And so my mother and I fought for 7 years until she had the sixth heart attack, but she never realized she'd had the first five.
Fuck.
The blessing was that I knew what to do for her when I got to her.
Yeah.
I knew how to help her because I had been focused in health. I had been focused in vegetarianism. I had been focused in learning about herbs. You understand that that was what I myself was doing outside of any structured classroom. You understand, in terms of what I immersed myself in. So I was personal friends with Dr. Lila Africa and his wife Sarah. You understand, I was one who had opportunity to study herbs with Dr. Stephen Tates. I had opportunity, you understand, to be client and interviewer and friend of Dr. Sabi and Ma'a and whatnot. So I've had the benefit of ones and ones who had the realizations of what else we needed to do. But and then my teacher, who was um, Josiah Oswagu, who was Igbo,
Mm.
and the
Oh,
teaching
yeah.
is being conscious of cosmic citizenship and conscious immortality. You understand? But he did not necessarily teach from the perspective of diet. But I realized that ones could not really understand the frequency of the height of that thought because of the clutteredness of the blood.
Mm.
You understand? So yes, there is so much, but in creating 360, when we talk about wholeness, we're talking about 360 degrees. We're talking about a complete circle. We're not talking about partial. We're not talking about that which has been removed. So you get a whole, HOLE, when you've removed the substance from it. So that which is holistic without the W, that which is holy without the WLLY, you understand? Then you're getting something that's partial. So the wholeness is about understanding the spirit, the mind, the emotions, and the body, but it still requires the liberation to happen at the cellular level so that we are in integrity with the perfect and divine design of us in terms of what we are needing to fuel our bodies with, as opposed to the feeding the body. So we're
Mm.
making a distinction between that which is food and that which is fuel for
Mm.
our system. Food is the tool of our oppression. Fueling the body is how we are able to liberate at the cellular level with the increased oxygenation, hydration, mineralization, alkalization that is going to facilitate better elimination and consistent cellular repair, regeneration, and then consciousness expansion. That's health,
Mm.
not just freedom from diagnoses. Not just, sculpting sludge. You got all, but it's just sludge. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
You're sculpting sludge. You're not really thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
You got all this muscle and you can't think. You
Yeah.
got all of this muscle. You so fit and you so firm, but you are killing your children with garbage food. And so a lot of the guys that are concerned about their muscle, I'm saying the only muscle you really need to be concerned about right now is your heart and your brain. by cleansing the blood. You got to get that blood cleansed. The cleaner the blood, the greater the clarity. We have to be able to outthink a system of stupidity. We
Mm.
have to be able to outthink a system of oppression. We have to be able to outthink an agenda of nitwits and nincompoops. You understand? And I'm being nice. You understand? Murderers, liars, thieves, bastardizers, usurpers.
Yeah,
We have to be able to outthink the bullshit. We
yeah,
do. And you
yeah.
can't do it on sludge.
I just think it's from my own experience and what I've seen in others. It's. I think the spirit consciousness is it obviously within every human being, every being, and it's intelligent and divine, and it can come through the most people who are at their worst and illest can still have moments of clarity and beauty and words of wisdom to depart. But if you want to have that feeling of vitality and thriving in your life and fully embodiment in this life, and not only little slithers of it, it comes through, as you said, the fuel that you're giving yourselves so they can fully express themselves because they're vibrating on the same frequency as the stars, but you're blocking it. You're literally
Hmm.
blocking it. You've got
Hmm.
a large bit of cement over your genius, and
Right.
you got to break that down. And the amazing thing with the body is that you could spend 30 years abusing it, of eating the worst foods ever. And then if you give the right fuel, the right water, 6 months later, it can be in a state of complete thriving. I mean, what more ROI, bros, do you need do you need than that
Right.
it's
Exactly.
amazing. Yeah.
Exactly. And the respect, and this is the part where when knowing how to start, where to start,
Mm.
is the respect
Yeah.
of life. Because we didn't create ourselves. We do not beat our own hearts. We do not breathe ourselves. We
Mm.
did not create the creatures of the oceans, the rivers, the seas, and the streams. You understand? We have had no real hand in the miraculousness of existence itself. So
Mm.
we start with the respect,
Mm.
the reverence, the appreciation, and the gratitude of having been gifted the opportunity to participate with something that is so freaking amazing, unfathomable, that is existence itself on a planet that is 80% water spinning in flotation and rotation in an ocean of cosmic consciousness as nothing but the divinity, the sanctity, and the sacredness of being itself. We are these points of it, the personification of deity. You understand? But how godly do we care to be? And it is about our godliness. It is about the high ethic and the morality, the virtues of character that are consistent with our creator in having gifted itself to everything and everybody. So it's not going to kill itself and oppress itself over here to make itself look good over here. You understand?
Mm.
Its will is for the freedom of everything and everybody to exalt the divinity and the intelligence that it has been gifted. And we didn't give anything. You understand? And just the whole process of procreating in terms of scratching an itch and making a baby, we have very little to really do with that process. You
Yeah.
understand? So it's just the divinity of how life is there to create itself and recreate itself consistently, generationally, forever. And we have the opportunity to reverse this genocide. We have the opportunity to really participate in the victory and the triumph that is already won with the divinity of existence, reclaiming and always allowing more of itself to come into the greater of itself. That's why you have more people now who are awakening and rising. You understand? I have been consistent over the last 47 years,
Mm.
and my teacher before me. And though you understand, so there have always been light bearers, there have always been truth sayers, there have always been ones and ones who were exalting the divinity and the sanctity of what it is to be human. but to be human is to be divine. And we began to take the lie that to be human is to be sinful, to be human is to be fallible. And I'm saying to be is the evidence of divinity personified, existence itself.
Mm.
So we start there with that reverence, that appreciation, that gratitude, and that thanksgiving, and feeling really pleased with oneself that you did not give yourself, but you have the opportunity to be the greater expression of the divinity and the sanctity and the truth of yourself as the way in which we honor the ones through whom we've come, and the way in which we, as a global humanity, take full charge and responsibility of foiling the agenda of genocide, because we will not participate with it.
Mm.
We will not be killing ourselves. We will not be buying these products. We will not be inebriating, intoxicating, and filling up with a bunch of garbage. We will not treat these bodies, these temples, as freaking garbage cans any longer. We will be fully committed, committing every atom and every cell of our being to being cleared and cleansed and purified, to really be fully participatory with the rise of a glorious humanity of all hues and all spectrums of people. You understand, beyond race, religion, color, sex, nation, gender, preference, and otherwise, to rise in the establishment of the eternal order and the eternal government. And this is why I am voice on behalf of our liberation. I am not just one who is talking about animal rights. I am not just speaking about Pan-Africanism. I am not just addressing the liberation of humanity. I am speaking to the right of all orders of existence to have the right to function in the divinity, the sanctity, and the sacredness of being itself on behalf of the eternal order, the eternal government, and to the glory of all of those ones who could not, who did not know, who were not allowed to exalt a full effort in their own living, because every hue of people have been under the oppression of somebody somewhere.
Mm.
And now we're having the opportunity to liberate ourselves, to regain our footing upon the path of everlasting life, and to be a blessing everywhere that we show up, and to care, to nourish and nurture and strengthen and uplift and honor and cherish and treasure, and to know love, because everybody literally needs the same thing. We need to be honored. We need to be loving. We need to be redeemed. We need to be reconciled and harmonized with all of life itself. We need to remember that we are the gift of life, and we are here to be the gift on behalf of all of life.
Adama, thank you. Thank you for your blessings, for your time,
You're
for your
very
gifts,
welcome.
for your incredible, incredible words. And I hope you have a nice rest of your birthday. And I can't
Oh,
think of
absolutely.
and I can't thank you enough for sharing your gift with everyone who's listening on what is a day when you should be receiving gifts. I guess
Well, this is a gift.
this.
I am very, very grateful for the opportunity. And if I can, I would encourage
How
your
can people
audience.
find you? Sorry, yeah. How can people find you?
Yeah, I would, encourage them to tune in to go to the website of the radio station where I am, wrfg.org. I'm in the studio live every Thursday night, Eastern Standard Time, from midnight to 3 a.m., but those archives are available Friday mornings, right?
I'll put all this in the
Uh,
links as well for people.
and then bbsradio.com/ Adama Speaks has archives of my monologues. All right. And then YouTube and Instagram, The Real Adama Speaks.
Yeah.
And then for those who can call for um, counseling on WhatsApp or within the States, the number for life support is 678-760-9299. And otherwise, there is so much other information, Spotify and podcast formats, all as Adama Speaks. So you can just Google Adama Speaks. That's ADAMASPEAKS. And as I said, YouTube and Instagram, The Real Adama Speaks.
Speaks. Yeah, you've got a great Instagram.
Otherwise, I'm looking forward to hearing from those of you who are ready, willing, able, eager to step into the greatness of and the phenomenalness of who you each are as these living, loving, intelligent, potent, immortal points of the presence of this absolute and supreme intelligence. And for our coming to this place and space where we're no nonsense, no compromise, no bullshit about regaining our footing upon the path of everlasting life on behalf of all of those whose blood has been spilt upon this planet, those who've come, those who've gone, those who are with us, and those who've yet to come. Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you, Adama. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Bless your heart. We'll talk soon.